Spain won the 26th World Cup, but the tournament left behind more than a champion. Rumors claimed that the match ball could be controlled remotely. Remote viewers searched for hidden messages on the Economist cover, followed the number 19, and questioned decisions favoring Argentina. Did the players decide everything on the pitch, or did millions watch a story whose ending had already been written? To answer that, we must examine the evidence carefully. The first mystery begins with a photograph taken in 2007. Lionel Messi was 20 years old and had already become one of Barcelona's most exciting young players. In front of him was a 5-month-old baby sitting in a small bathtub. That baby was Lamine Yamal. At the time, Barcelona was cooperating with UNICEF on a charity calendar. Families from Catalonia were invited to take part, and newborn children were paired with Barcelona footballers for a series of photographs. Different players met different families. Yamal was paired with Messi entirely by chance. Nobody present could have known that the baby in the bathtub would grow into one of the most talented players of his generation. Years later, Yamal followed a path that looked strangely similar to Messi's early career. Both emerged from Barcelona's system. Both carried enormous expectations at a young age, and both became central figures for their national teams. When they appeared in the same World Cup story, the old photograph suddenly felt like a prediction. Then people began counting. Messi celebrated his 39th birthday during the tournament. Why? 19 days later, Yamal celebrated his 19th birthday. Messi wore number 19 during an early period of his international career, while Yamal also became closely associated with number 19. The photograph was taken 19 years before the 2026 tournament, and the final was played on the 19th day of the month. For believers in symbolism, the pattern looked too precise to ignore. For skeptics, it was an example of selecting the coincidences that fit a story and forgetting everything that did not. An Adidas campaign added another layer. Its image contrasted a young goat with a mature goat and placed the numbers 19 and 10 beside them. The younger figure represented the newcomer, while the mature figure represented the established legend. Yamal wore 19 and Messi wore 10. The campaign was designed to create discussion, and it succeeded. But clever advertising and repeated numbers are not evidence that a football result was planned. They show how easily real details can be arranged into a powerful narrative after the connections have already been noticed. The second major theory concerned a football that appeared to move by itself. Short clips spread rapidly across social media. In one, the ball seemed to change direction without being touched. In another, it rolled forward and then unexpectedly moved backward. Some accounts claimed that a hidden mechanism inside the ball was guiding it. The claim sounded more believable because modern match balls really do contain electronic technology. A sensor inside the ball can transmit data many times per second. That information helps officials determine the exact moment of contact and supports semi-automated offside decisions. The system uses a rechargeable power source and communicates with the match technology in real time. This created an obvious question. If the ball can transmit data, could it also receive commands? And if it could receive commands, could somebody influence its direction by producing a tiny vibration? The theory became dramatic, but the complete footage provides a simpler explanation. The viral clips were cropped, slowed down, enlarged, and sometimes recorded from another screen. Those changes removed the moments that explained the movement. In one original sequence, the ball struck a player's foot and continued rotating as it lost speed. Because it was still spinning, friction between the ball and the grass caused it to curve to the side. In another sequence, the ball was struck below its center. That contact created backspin, so the ball slowed and returned in the opposite direction. The same effect can be seen in billiards, tennis, and many other sports. In physics, the explanation involves angular momentum, friction, and the location of the impact. In football, Players simply call it spin. The sensor measures events inside the match. But measurement is not the same as remote control. No credible evidence in these clips demonstrates a motor capable of steering the ball. The mystery survives because the shortened videos begin after the important contact has already happened. Once the missing seconds are restored, the supposedly impossible movement becomes ordinary football physics. The next theory focused on The Economist and its World Ahead 2026 cover. The magazine publishes an annual issue filled with illustrations connected to political, economic, and technological themes. The 2006 composition was circular and could be interpreted as resembling a football. An illustrated player could also be seen kicking a ball. After Spain and Argentina became the finalists, viewers concentrated on the colors. Red was associated with Spain and blue with Argentina. Because the player on the cover appeared in red, some people claimed that the magazine had revealed the winner in advance. Placed beside the final result, the image looks surprisingly convincing. But red and blue are among the most common colors in international football, and the cover never names either finalist. The human mind is extremely good at discovering patterns after an event has occurred. Thousands of symbols can be ignored while the few that match reality are remembered. The cover may have referenced the World Cup, but that does not prove it predicted the teams, the score, or the champion. A visual resemblance can inspire a theory without demonstrating advanced knowledge. The final controversy involved accusations that Argentina received favorable treatment. Critics pointed to an allegedly easier route through the tournament, disputed refereeing decisions, and the enormous commercial value of keeping Lionel Messi on the field. An early elimination for Messi could reduce global interest in television audiences. Several incidents were presented as evidence, including a challenge that some believed deserved a red card and a possible foul before an Argentina goal that VAR did not overturn. Images of FIFA President Gianni Infantino reacting in the stands were also used to support the allegation. Yet, a reaction, a coincidence, or even a serious refereeing mistake does not by itself prove that an entire tournament was manipulated. That would require evidence of deliberate coordination, not only disputed decisions, symbolic numbers, and viral clips. The 2006 World Cup therefore became more than a competition between national teams. Online, it became a contest between facts and theories, technology and trust, and complete footage versus selective editing. The real lesson may not be that a ball was remotely controlled, or that a magazine secretly announced the champion. It may be that the story surrounding a tournament can become as influential as the football itself. What do you think about these claims? Write your opinion. By 2006, the World Cup was no longer only a football story. The tournament was being hosted across the United States, Canada, and Mexico, placing FIFA directly beside the political power of Washington. At the center of that relationship stood Donald Trump and FIFA President Gianni Infantino. Their public meetings became increasingly familiar. They appeared together at ceremonies, discussed the tournament at the White House, exchanged symbolic gifts, and presented the competition as a historic national event. A World Cup of this size depends on security, visas, transportation, stadium coordination, and cooperation between many agencies. For Trump, the tournament offered a global stage watched by billions of people. That mutual interest does not prove that matches were manipulated. But it does raise an important question about institutional independence. When the president of football's governing body becomes visibly close to a powerful political leader, where does necessary cooperation end and political promotion begin? Infantino became FIFA president in 2016, after the organization had been shaken by the largest corruption crisis in its history. In 2015, United States prosecutors announced charges against senior football officials and sports marketing executives. The allegations included racketeering, wire fraud, money laundering, and decades of illegal payments connected to broadcasting and tournament rights. FIFA promised reform, transparency, and a break with the culture that had damaged its reputation. Infantino presented himself as the leader of that new era. Yet critics continued to ask whether FIFA had truly changed, or whether power had simply been reorganized around a different group of people. The expansion of tournaments, the concentration of executive authority, and FIFA's relationships with governments kept those doubts alive. One man revealed how deep the old system had become. Chuck Blazer was a senior football executive who helped transform the sport into a highly profitable business in North America. He also lived with extraordinary privileges, expensive travel, luxury apartments, and financial arrangements hidden from public view. After facing pressure from American investigators over taxes and corruption, Blazer began cooperating with the authorities. He supplied information about other officials and secretly recorded conversations. His cooperation helped investigators understand how bribes and commercial deals moved through international football. Blazer later admitted guilt to charges that included racketeering, conspiracy, wire fraud, money laundering, and tax offenses. The case showed that FIFA's corruption was not simply a collection of isolated gifts. It was connected to a system in which officials could influence valuable decisions while operating with very little outside scrutiny. The FBI investigation did not prove every theory surrounding modern football, but it proved that seemingly impossible corruption could exist behind official ceremonies and carefully managed public images. The relationship between football and politics became even more visible with the FIFA Peace Prize. At the official 2026 World Cup draw, Donald Trump received the first award in a ceremony led by Gianni Infantino. FIFA described the prize as recognition for exceptional action supporting peace and unity. Trump accepted it on one of the largest stages in world sport. The images were designed to be historic. The FIFA president, the American president, the World Cup trophy, and a new peace award presented before a global audience. Supporters viewed the moment as recognition of diplomatic efforts. Critics saw something different. They questioned why a football organization was judging international politics and why its first prize went to a leader with whom FIFA had developed such a close working relationship. Trump had also spoken publicly about deserving the Nobel Peace Prize. The FIFA award could not replace the Nobel Prize, but it created a powerful alternative image, football's governing body presenting him as a global peacemaker. That is why the ceremony matters. It demonstrates how the World Cup can be used not only to host matches, but also to create political symbolism and international legitimacy. None of this proves that the 2026 World Cup was fixed. It does show that football, money, government, and public image are now deeply connected. The real danger begins when cooperation becomes personal loyalty, when ceremonies replace accountability, and when the popularity of the game protects powerful institutions from difficult questions. FIFA survived its corruption scandal and returned to the center of global politics. Trump gained a worldwide sporting platform, while Infantino gained access to the most powerful office in the host nation. The question is what that closeness means for an organization that claims to represent every country equally. What do you think about the relationship between Trump, Infantino, and FIFA? Write your opinion in the comments, and do not forget to subscribe to Beyond the Fame.